Ron Callis here with another episode of Automation Unplugged. Today is Wednesday, November 2nd. It is 1 minute after 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I know that we have had some challenges in recent weeks and months of our software cooperating, and we haven't exactly always launched right on time. But today we did, and I'm going to ping David on my team to see if we are live. I think we're coming in live on both platforms, but he's going to let me know here eminently. And here's the incoming Slack message. I'm holding my breath. Let's see if technology is behaving. So far, we haven't been. Yep, live on both. Okay, excellent. Well, that's positive. It's been busy here in One Firefly land. What's been going on? Lots of shows. I know I've referenced that in the last few shows. Last week, we were at the Total Tech Summit in Orlando. So that's a conference with residential and commercial integration firms, as well as security contracting firms. And it was a lot of fun. I was out there in person. I was there with a couple of members of our team. I was out there with Tori on our sales team and Katie on our account management team. And I had the honor and the pleasure of introducing the keynote, and when Firefly sponsored the keynote for the event on Wednesday. And so I was given the stage for 20 minutes and had a good time talking about how to think about and position marketing given different types of economic climates. And I think we all know we are potentially in a contraction period, or one might be incoming. That's also known as a recession. And markets and cycles usually go through periods of expansion and contraction. It's a normal way the economy works. Generally, a recession happens about every 7 years or so. And although here in the United States, our last recession was just in March of 2020. It was actually a very brief recession for a couple of months. But how do you think about your branding and your marketing during those periods? So that was awesome. Got a lot of positive feedback from the talk and got to see so many of our friends and clients. So if you don't already, make sure to follow One Firefly on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We were pretty active posting videos and images of all the fun activities. And this week is nice because I'm actually here in the office this week, and it's been action packed, and we were able to fit in an automation unplugged episode, which is also great. And then next week I'm back off to Las Vegas for the ASEAN conference, so that'll be Monday through Friday for myself, and I'll be out there with Steven from our sales team. So that's what's been going on here, and then things settle down a little bit for the holidays. Which is good and much needed. Let's get on to the show. Today is show 228, and my guest is Susan Grossweiler. She is the Vice President of Products and Operations at HAVRION. So without further ado, I want to bring in Susan. Hey, Susan, how are you?
Good. How are you, Ron?
I am good. I was maybe scaring you or warning you in advance. I was like, when I press live, it doesn't always work. So, but it worked. Everything. We're here. We are. I see some people are tuned in, which is pretty fun. By the way, if you're out there and you're tuned in, drop into the comments. Tell us who you are, where you're coming to us from. That's always fun. And if you have any questions for Susan as we go along here, don't be shy. Drop those questions or comments in, and I'll share those out. But Susan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Where are you coming to us?
So I am coming from chilly Atlanta, Georgia. It's not really that chilly.
Chilly. What's the weather like right now?
Beautiful fall weather. So a girl from New England is loving the weather down in Georgia right now. It reminds me of home.
I've been traveling so much that I did get home end of last week. It was a Friday night, and I remember on Saturday I went out to have a nice cup of coffee on my patio, and it was I don't know, it was steamy and unpleasant. I was like, well, I wanted to do that, but I'm going to go back in the house. So the fall weather has not quite set in here in South Florida.
Yeah, yep.
Not
Yep.
yet.
You don't have the fun of the s'mores in the driveway yet, like we do, and bundled up, but
There's like 1 week in January when it gets really cold down here, and there'll be a cold front that hits Orlando and heads south, and it's legitimately like you wanna start a campfire. It's like really nice fall weather, and then boom, it disappears as quickly as it comes.
nice.
What are you gonna do? So, Havrion, if you could, fill us all in, what is Havrion and, your role, clearly, as a lead executive there? What does that look like?
Yeah, let me take you on a little story, right?
Please.
So, Havrion, we were created in 2019. We are actually the wholly owned subsidiary of an AV company based out of Florida called United Data Technologies. They have been in the education world probably going on 27, 28 years, right? So, when the unfortunate events of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas occurred right down the street from their headquarters and our headquarters in Miramar, Florida,
Yeah.
um,
That's
they
down the
had
street
this
from me.
calling.
I'm in Tamarack.
Yeah.
That's like
Oh,
less than 10
yeah.
miles from where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, so I mean, the rippling effect of that across a community, of course, not just affects the parents and the kids that are going there, but those surrounding, companies and UDT, of course, supporting those schools. Um, they found that, hey, we need to do something with the technology we're putting in these schools and help support safety for these customers that they very much care about. And they put our founder and CTO of Havrion, now Danny Rodriguez, into a room and said, "Hey, I want you to dig in on all these types of events, the technology we're putting in there, and come out with something that we feel is going to impact safety in these schools." And through a great partnership we have with Samsung, we came out with our first solution that was called Connect. And it's driving that digital display content right onto safety content right onto displays. Right? What better way in this digital age to communicate quickly and effectively to anybody looking at it, from small child to guests to teachers, to be able to take action. And so with that technology, they rolled out Havrion to go nationwide to really support schools in this continued journey that we're seeing, in supporting safety, right? We all know and recognize we need to do more. And that's exactly what Havrion is here doing with, again, UDT, but other great partners that we have around the country, like Daily and ECC and Vitel. We're just spreading the warmth, really, truthfully, around this and what we can do to help those students in schools.
No, I feel you, and that was what a noble cause. As I said, I live down the street from that. I have a member of my team here at One Firefly literally lives in a house where they can see Stoneman Douglas out the window. And so this is right here in our backyard. And now that said, that's only one of many, many, many events that are happening all over the country. Yeah, I've high level I don't want to say random, it's on topic. Is this a new occurrence in America, or has this always been happening? These school violence, school shootings? I mean, do you have a
Look,
perspective on that? Or
yeah,
is
I
this
mean,
just it's in the news more and that's why we're hearing about it? What's happening there?
I don't have exact numbers in front of me, so I won't go into that type of detail. But
Sure.
listen, violence in schools has been something that has been prevalent, right? I think it was lesser in other decades, right? But there were still some types of violence that occurred. It has definitely started to create an arch and a peak. Just my own perspective, looking out at just safety in schools now. I mean, I remember being able to go to school, no one worried about locking doors or this really what we never even had, lockdown drills. So I do think, yeah, things are changing, especially after COVID, right? Where there was a need even prior to COVID with things sort of being unrest in these public spaces and not even just schools, but public spaces in general. There's definitely been a need even more so after COVID that there's just an interaction that and relationship that isn't there like it was before. Um, so I hate to have to think like this, right? But I think that's where I mean, of course, I'm also a mother, right? But safety is a high concern of mine on wherever my child is now going into, where I am not going to be present with my child all day. So it's just something that I think that we're all accepting. We're trying to put our hands around how we want to approach it. But, there's some hopes out there, especially from myself and my colleagues that, just like you have a fire detection system in a school, that you're going to have other mandates coming out over the next 5 to 10 years that are going to mandate gun detection sensors, environmental sensors, and communications outside the standard ones that are out there today.
We have Susan, we have some people that are saying hello, so I'm going to acknowledge them. We have Chris has worked with Susan as a reseller. She's a great leader. And Chris also added the comment. He said the University of Texas Tower sniper in the 60s. I remember hearing about that. That was pretty terrifying. So Jay, Chris, to your point, this has been going on a while. And we have another comment here from Jay. He says, a great meeting the One Firefly team a few months ago. Thanks for the invite. You're welcome, Jay. Thanks for tuning in and watching. Thinking of my son, I have a son, he's 13. And, right after Stoneman Douglas happened, I remember they all transitioned to clear backpacks. And then just recently, this school year, so it started a couple of months ago, they transitioned to clear lunch, or what do you call it? Lunch boxes. And so that was a protocol. But my son goes to a school. I won't mention the name of the school for safety reasons. But my son goes to a school here in South Florida, and it's a private school. He's very fortunate. They have a very substantial police presence and security detail presence on the school campus. And so I feel fortunate in that regard. And I also feel sad that that's necessary. And my son, since Stoneman Douglas, they now have regular drills on campus. The big bell goes off on school. It's a particular siren, and it's their school shooter bell. And so there's security protocols across the campus where, the kids do certain things, and the whole staff, the whole campus is mobilized to prepare for that event. And it's terrifying that that's the world we live in, but nonetheless, it is the world we live in. So do you mind just sharing with us, Susan, like what's a world where your technology is helping make it safer? Like what is the solution? What does it look like?
So listen, we're very fortunate with our solution that we play well with everyone, right? We're not going to be the ones who are only focusing on a sensor that we're right. We want everyone to go out and do what they do best. And then for us at Havrion, we bring all of these amazing things that are being invented into our system. First and foremost, activation points. For us, I think it's so important as we start to look at this world that I don't think just one thing is going to help. I think it's going to be a multi-layered approach. So being able to have physical panic buttons as well alongside with mobile applications, and then of course those amazing sensors, they all have sort of those good, better, best scenarios. So, making awareness out there right now around the country, around the nation on, what are your schools doing? Ask the questions, right? Don't be afraid to go in. I know my munchkin just started pre-K. So pretty proud mommy over here. But I mean,
yeah.
the very first, new parent meeting I had, my hand was right up. I'm like, what are you doing to protect my child? right? And I'd like to be more involved. So, if this is something that you're passionate about, get out there and get into it, whether you're a parent or whether you're one of these companies supporting. The other part of this, though, for us is these outcomes. So for us, looking forward, on what I would hope sort of that ideal situation would be looking forward when people are thinking about the safety of these environments is, yes, you need to cover your bases, right? 911 connectivity. I mean, I think that's a must for everybody. Like if you're not looking at that, then what are we doing, right? 911 connectivity, the ability to communicate in multiple layers here. This isn't just a one thing now, right? I think we've seen text messages, voicemail, emails. That's sort of for me, the dated stuff that we still need, right? But we need to go beyond that now. And that's really where I'm hoping people will start to look at these other solutions on let's get your bases covered and let's move forward with these solutions like digital displays, right? Think about just now, I mean, everyone has a phone, you have a watch, you're looking in retail, right? I was, lucky to be part of a McDonald's outdoor menu board rollout once with Samsung, and just again, the transformation our country's done on digital displays. It is one of, I think, the key things that everyone can look at for safety messaging. What are your digital displays doing for you? Right? And if they can bring in safety, then look at that, because that's going to be something that, again, it can hit any audience, kindergarteners, parents, guests. You can communicate, and there's not this funnel of one person needing to communicate what to do. So for me, it's really important that, people are asking the questions about what else can my technology be doing for me, right? And for us, again, big message about digital displays and immersing those environments with those safety messages.
Got a comment here from YouTube coming from Libby. She says, skit 6 school shootings nationally for the month of October. Those 6 ranged from elementary to high school, and all 6 had injuries or fatalities. It's crazy. It's sad and crazy, and we need to solve it. So HAVRION, is this a software solution? Is it a panel embedded? You mentioned Samsung. Is it
Mhm.
embedded in Samsung panels only? So just help us understand your particular approach to helping you're not the entirety of the answer, but you're part of a solution.
We are. So listen, we have a very nice sort of laddered approach to this, right? Because all schools and districts, I think, are at a different point in their journey on how they want to create protecting solutions and policies across there. So to start, Havrion comes right out the gate with just a mobile application, which allows for communications again to 911, a real-time event hub, right? That's very important for first responders when it comes to mapping, right? You want to be able to double click on that building and see those blueprints as a first responder to figure out what you're doing. As well as just attendance check-ins. That mobile device, I don't know how many times I have heard from shows we've gone to, teachers going, we still use a red and green folder to let people know during an evacuation if we have all of our kids or not. And it takes several minutes, right? If not 30 minutes to go through who has the extra child, where's the child, right, in those evacuation points. So just by simply adding in this mobile device to allow for someone to send out, hey, someone scuffed their knee during this, can we get Band-Aids, right? I don't want to go to the extent of someone hurt themselves, right? But
Sure.
it can be, hey, someone's hurt themselves in this scenario. Here's the info. This is who I have. This is who I'm missing. Quick head counts. Our base solution just with the mobile app in this hub is really where we're trying to get schools to just first, let's get you covered,
That's the
right? With just
baseline solution
a
they should adopt.
baseline solution. It is cloud based, right? I mean, we could get a school or a district set up literally overnight. That's how quick we can deploy our solution to allow for these schools to have some type of coverage. And price point wise, I'll toot my own horn. We are extremely affordable. I won't drop the price here. You'll have to contact me for
You got to
that.
contact
But
Susan, folks.
yeah, get over here. We'll let you know, but you would be shocked because for us, this baseline solution is really something that we feel morally obligated to be getting out there. So when people go, oh my gosh, is that really how much it costs? It is. So let me, give me a call and I'll let you know. Um, but from there, right, those cost savings that we're giving you and that sort of peace of mind that we're giving you that you have something to communicate in place, then allows us to start helping you with our partners, included. Let's start building out these, larger scale safety plans, right? Let's look at digital displays. Have you already gone through a digital transformation in classrooms and have digital displays at the front? We can tie into those. If you don't, right, there's options of putting small screens in classrooms that are for safety messaging. And what's great about our solution, it is built on a CMS platform provided by Samsung called Magic Info. And you can scale this out across multiple displays. It does have, of course, deepest and sort of best functionality when using Samsung's, but they also recognize to us as one of our strategic partners that these are mixed environment schools, right? They might have bought, 1,000 Samsung last year in one model and a different model now with SoCs, and we need to be able to work across all models. So again, that sort of connecting fiber for us is Samsung's Magic Info platform that then we run through to these digital displays to communicate ours. And again, like I said, what's great is you're not only going to have these screens for safety, right? That's something that, again, we're hoping people just are asking those questions when they're talking about digital displays. But you're going to have them too for teaching and education purposes and sending out announcements and, all the things you have for a digital display that you would want it to do. Our solution also provides out because of this great partnership with Samsung.
How does a school, let's say a school principal that's at the school level, or I'm speaking above my pay grade here, but I'm going to say maybe at the school district, it's the school superintendent or the school board. How do they know what messaging they should have on those displays? Like, where's the rule book of saying, here's what you should happen. Here's what you should do when an event does happen, whether it's a fire drill or God forbid a shooting. How do
Yeah.
what should actually be up on those displays?
So there's a transition going on across the nation, I will tell you. Sort of simply put, a few decades ago, even some of the stuff we see now, people have just been using a color coding system, right? Like code silver, code red, or it's a fire. And then you have to sort of deduct from there, hey, I need to go take the steps to evacuate. What's great now is there's these organizations, and I will call out one that we do love, who's done a great job with ERP, which is Event Response Protocol, and that's iloveyouguys.org. And they've really dove into how do we reduce the time of, recognition to be able to respond. So such organizations like that, or even PASS. PASS is a fantastic one. Not only are they talking about what you need to do in an event, they have a book. Gosh, I have it behind me. It's about this thick. That they tell you, I think it's like 6 or 7 different layers of protecting public spaces, specifically schools. I know some states implement as this is what you need to do. So, look for these organizations, but really, if you're out there and you're not familiar with event response protocol, get familiar with it. It's so important because, again, every second that you can shave off someone having to recognize and take action, you're reducing something that we like to call at HAVRION the vulnerability gap, right? You are a vulnerable person until you have received, recognized, and responded to the event that's placed in front of you. So, the ability to hold, shelter, evacuate, lockdown, right? When someone tells you that, it's almost like, at the beginning of a race when a gun goes off, you react. Well, so are these new words that we're looking at in the safety realm out in the country. So, yeah, get involved with those and learn more about, event response and how that plays a role in your schools and public spaces.
So I have we here at One Firefly, we have a client in Texas, and that business does a lot of work at state and local government level, at the state and local government level. And so his business is very much in the thick of school security solutions. And what I've been exposed to is lightly some of the processes that communities go through to not only get solutions designed, but then actually get them funded and implemented. Can you take our audience through a little bit of that? Like, what is it? It's unfortunately, we don't just get to snap our fingers and the solutions are in those schools next week, even if they're desperately needed. How, from your perspective, do you see that works?
So listen, in education is very different than I think anything else. There are the need to be on contract. And what that does really, I mean, it's not a blocker. Some people might think of it, but what it really does is help qualify things, right? But it also helps narrowly define the things that are across a district. So for solutions, right, we have to work with partners in different government agencies to get on contract to be able to go and supply these schools. Luckily, again, we have such great partners who are always responding to these RFPs, right, in conjunction with our solution. I can't thank them enough. And you get out in that way, right? There's other ways, though, as well. From top down levels, working with different lobbyists like we do to go talk to different lieutenant governors and governors in the Senate and House in different states. They can also help really sort of push the needle forward on these things. So we do actively go out and talk to directly from HAVRION to these government agencies as much as we possibly can about, again, the importance of not just a panic button, but everything that there comes after it, again, to influence these schools and these, again, public spaces. I keep saying, just because our solution does work so well, stadiums, arenas. I had some churches reach out to us last week. I even had a prison, right? Who, again, the only having an auditory sort of directional system doesn't always work for everyone, right? We've been able to identify for many years now that people learn and understand differently, and you want to take that into account when you're looking for safety systems. Am I going to be able to reach everyone? And again, back to that layering. Layer, your activation devices, your outcomes, right? So that you can support as many people as possible.
When if someone listening to this or watching this is tied in around security opportunities, sadly, some of them being driven because of these school shootings, what's the process of someone engaging your company to investigate viability of whether there's a fit?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways, right? So if you already are, I will say, partner of Samsung's, you can actually reach out to Samsung and they can get in touch with us. There's also, of course, like I said, we work with these AV integrators all over the country, and those people have an amazing relationship with these schools, right? So we also are trying to help build and sustain those relationships. So partners like Daily and ECC, United Data Technologies, of course, parent company, reach out to them. Say, hey, do you know HAVRION? And if they don't, the last step is, hey, you can easily reach out to us directly. You can go to havrion.com, HAVRION.com. Reach out to us directly there, request a demo. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, or of course, you can reach out directly to me as well. I'm happy to answer questions, right? Even if it's not about our solutions, if you have questions about sort of the environment of public safety and communications, we're open to talk. I'm also on LinkedIn under Susan Grossweiler, and my email at HAVRION, just if you wanted to reach out, is S Grossweiler, which is GROSSWEILER. It's a mouthful, thanks to my husband. But Susan Grossweiler at havrion.com. And I'm happy to give my phone to, it's 321-626-8540. You can give us a shout out, and either if I have time, we'll sit down, or I'll put you in touch with people on our team who will happily help educate, answer questions, and of course that fun pricing thing that I tease. So.
No, that's awesome. And my team David will drop all those email and phone number details that you just gave out, Susan. We'll drop that in the show notes and the notes and comments on social media. I'd like for just a moment to pivot over to you. What's your background? How did you get into this? Like what brought you here to HAVRION?
It's been a long road. We don't have time. We'd have to start the show over to go through it all.
There you go.
But so listen, grew up in a family-owned business. So for me, business has always been just a part of me. Sales, marketing, all of that. I've enjoyed it. I've been able to move through such great companies, like Kennedy Space Center with Delaware North and ESPN Radio-Brevard for a while. And then, of course, I spent, several years at Samsung, working alongside their home appliance division and their display division. And for me, that display division gave me the opportunity to meet the amazing folks over at UDT, with this just idea they had at the time, right? About, hey, we want to save it. And at that time, I was pregnant. And I think that mom gene just kicked in. And I just had this calling that I really wanted to get behind this company and support them however I could. I jumped ship and went from big corporate to HAVRION, and I haven't looked back. I'm so happy that I still get to work with Samsung and people I did for a long time. But HAVRION has just given me this great opportunity that I feel so rewarded at the end of the day, right? With what I'm doing, what our company's doing, what our team is doing. I work with a bunch of fantastic people from internally to externally to our partners, and I couldn't be happier. It's just, again, so rewarding to be in this role at this company.
Susan, Jessica and I met you at the NSCA Pivot to Profit event in Chicago. And so I'm assuming Havrion, you were there. So I'm assuming Havrion is a vendor or would you call it a manufacturer partner or
I don't,
software
you know,
partner?
software partner. I would say we're a software partner. Yeah.
That's exciting. What events do you have coming up? I know there's the NSCA Business Leadership Conference in February. Is there anywhere between now and then that people can meet you and your team out at industry events?
Yes, Havrion, of course, will be participating in FETC this year, one of the biggest, education technical shows, as well as TCEA in Texas. Those are the next few coming up. And then we usually sprinkle in several different safety shows throughout the year. All of that stuff can be found on our social media. We always drop sort of what's coming up in the next month out there for people to know. But yeah, the biggest one coming up next is going to be that end of January at FETC. I always get them confused. TCEA, FETC. There's so many acronyms out there.
How far are all of us that have children in school? How many years is it going to take before these schools across the country are more safe because better processes and solutions are in place?
Listen, I think that there's schools that can be more safe today. You know what I mean? There's solutions like ours and others out there that you can immediately get that are not cost prohibited that you can go and do. But when it comes to those bigger steps I talked about sort of nationalizing, standardizing, right? We standardize fire alarms in schools. Let's standardize some other things. I think, we're unfortunately 5 to 10 years away, right? I know that we're doing our part, and other companies like ours are doing our part to try to push that forward. Just sometimes the political landscape is, I think, sometimes like quicksand. It takes a little longer to get through all of that to get something like this, but that's not going to stop us. We're going to keep on chugging and doing our part in protecting these schools and different public spaces.
For the integrators, this is just kind of a high level question, and I'll say me as a parent, I'm curious. You had mentioned this just a bit ago, and I'm wondering if you have any further clarity around it. What can any of us do to help that process go more quickly, more efficiently? Do you have a little one that just showed up?
She did. I'm so
There she is.
This is the thing, and you want to say hi to the world? You can say hi.
There you go. Oh, she looks like she just woke up.
She did. I'm so sorry. Hey.
Oh, don't be sorry.
Okay.
Don't be sorry.
This is the thing of COVID, right? You work from home, you're a parent, you're a school, you're an
Oh,
office, all in one.
Suzanne, children come first. Our families come
Yes.
first. So I think, what's her name?
Her name is Amelia.
Amelia. Amelia, that is a beautiful name.
You say thank you.
Were
Here you go. Take my phone and go call Daddy.
you gonna call
All
Daddy,
right.
Amelia?
Yep. Here, I thought I was good. I had set up a movie. I had given snacks. I had done everything.
That's awesome. HAVRION, you and your team work from home offices across the country?
We do. We do have a headquarters in Miramar, but we are scattered across the country to be able to support, and even some international as well. I mean, COVID did on a good point of that, right? We were able to look at resources that we typically wouldn't have when we were thinking we were going to be an in-office company. And we're very happy that, sort of COVID pushed us in that direction. We have a fantastic team as well overseas.
No, that's cool. When Firefly, we went virtual back in 2015, and then COVID happened, and then suddenly it was the hip thing to do. But
Yep.
I agree. If you have the option, not to downplay anyone that goes to the office, good for you. And many of my customers have to go to the office because they're doing installations. But working virtually certainly is nice. You have a little one, Susan, to care for, and so I think we've had I know we've had a fun time chatting and learning about Havrion and about you. So, and you've given us some of those appropriate sign-offs. So maybe I'll give you the last word. What direction would you have anyone that's watching or listening again that wants to learn more? What action would you have them take? And then we'll wrap.
Listen, reach out to Havrion or those associated partners. Get involved in your schools. Ask questions, and again, just reach out, and we can tell you sort of again what our solutions can help, what other solutions are out there that tie into ours, and let's get these schools protected and start communicating at a better level. Right. So that's my biggest thing. And then what I will tease as well is that we have just launched another solution just because of how digital displays play into these environments. But if you're also interested in some sort of ROI, sort of fan-based experiences with digital displays, or even a new modernized approach to IPTV, we're really trying to sort of build out this whole environment around digital displays. So get in touch with us. Reach out to myself. Reach out to again havrion.com, and we'll get you covered and
Awesome.
protected.
And for our listeners, I have the Havrion website up on the screen right now, and it's got some great graphics and information there as well. So
Wonderful.
Susan, it was a pleasure having you on episode 228 of Automation Unplugged.
Yeah, this was fantastic. I can't thank you all for having us, and hopefully we'll see you again in 2023.
Awesome. Sounds good. Susan, I didn't give you this instruction before, but I'm gonna bring you off screen, and I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody, but don't leave. You and I will connect here in just a minute.
All good.
All right. There you go, folks. Episode 228. We learned about a solution for this crazy pandemic of school violence and school shootings that are happening out there. And I really enjoyed meeting Susan a couple of months ago now, and I wanted to have her on as soon as possible. So I'm glad we were able to make schedules work. And I'm glad Amelia was able to make her presence known here at the end of the interview. That was awesome to have her on the show as well. Stay tuned. Let me think out loud here. Next week, I'm off to Las Vegas for another show. So this is the ASION trade show. And then thereafter, we should be back into our regular cadence of shows. So I know we have shows booked through the end of the year and a great roster of guests. So definitely tune in. And if you have not done so, go to your phone and subscribe to the podcast I'm actually going to show my phone real quick. I'm going to hold it up to the camera. I'm going to show you how to do this, folks. So you go up and you see that button that says podcast. You click on that and you can subscribe to Automation Unplugged, or the world, almost the nearly infinite universe of podcast content out there. Whatever your interest is, it exists there. And so if you work out or walk or drive or just want some alone time, some you time, listen to content. And if you really want to learn something, listen to Automation Unplugged and listen to all of our amazing guests. Would love to have you do that. Until next time, gang, I will see you on the other side. Thanks, everyone. Be well.